backend is based on the Dracattus backend is based on parse server, which has webhooks built into it, built into its panel, so we could very easily have things be done in the Revolt chat server when things happen for Dracattus. Like say when two Dracattuses get spawned together or cloned, we could have a channel that says, this primal was born or whatever. And me and Drac have also been working on a mystery project that I mentioned earlier. It's an IoT kind of ARG thing, so it's kind of mixing blockchain with more real elements, and we're really excited for it. And where you guys will find more as we have more built. And that's what I've been doing these past 2 weeks. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Chief. That's really great, man. I would even let you talk about the mystery project a little bit more, but I kind of threw something in my demos so that we can, and if people have questions about it, they can ask. But I'm really excited.
Yeah, we can segue into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for that, man. So Art or Lucas or whoever was left. Sorry, Dread.
Okay, yeah, let me go because I don't know if this is going to crash and if you guys are going to be able to hear this or not. That was kind of part of what the issue was I was having when I first jumped in. So I'm going to open this up, and if it doesn't work right away of how I want it to, I'll do a different setup and I'll go after everybody else.
Give it a go, man.
All right, I'm opening it up now. So if I go mute, I'll have to restart it.
Art, the audio guy, having audio issues. This is how it goes, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to let me boot because I'm using this setup. So let somebody else go, and I'll change my mic setup and everything.
Sure, sounds good, man. No worries. Who else was left aside from me? Chief, Dread, Lucas, you. Okay, I think that leaves it to me, Art. Okay, cool. So I guess I'm gonna kind of try to wrap up what the guys are talking about and what they've been working on and where we are, and give you guys a bit of a demo of what has transpired with Drac. So you've seen some bits and pieces as we go, and there's been
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yep, we can, dude.
No.
Audio guy, audio issues, demo day issues. The gods of demo day.
I can't remember the last time Art has had an audio issue before demo day.
No, well, the issue is I'm running my microphone through my external audio device, and that audio device is now also trying to run Dolby Atmos sound. So it doesn't quantify to be able to put it through Jitsi. So I don't think that the demo will necessarily, I'll be able to do the audio with it. So I have to change my mic setup so you guys can see it.
Okay, so no go, Art.
I'll go after. I'm just going to reset some stuff so
Okay,
you guys can see my screen while I show you.
All right, cool. So I got my screen up. Hopefully everybody can see it. This is our most recent beta branch. We do all of our regular source control. So for the devs in the room, we run this whole operation just like you would at your day job as a dev. Where else? Just like I would with my day job. Where else? So we have all of our source controls in place. We have all of our security handled. We run a nice, tight, agile ship. It's really great. And it's been really productive over the past 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we had no game to speak of, really. I mean, there was a lot of conceptualization. There was a lot of me playing in Unity. There was a lot of me exploring Phaser. There was a lot of work being done. But along the way, Lucas kind of joined Dread and Chief and I together, and it's been an explosion of work and productivity and great ideas ever since. So you're invited in to kind of see the wrap up of where we were. So many of you have already seen that we have our usual interface, but essentially we started needing to focus on the game, and really everything centers around the map. So with what Dread and Chief brought from a gaming standpoint, we've been able to lay the foundations of our gaming system, our gaming engine. So any sort of action move, asset, we've set up everything in a really nice fancy back end. And we've really started laying a lot of groundwork for the game and the story. And in all of that, Dread has introduced me to the term shandification and how that plays with lore and the story. And so there has been this epic amount of creativity and development the past 2 weeks. And that brings us to the map and the advancements that we have in the map. Everything's cleaned up. We have our breeding system working really nice. And now we're at a point that we have this as our kind of admin testing interface for our our battle system. So behind the scenes, there's a lot of really cool stuff that we did to make it so that battling is really representative of what Drac you have, what visuals they have, what traits they have, and how that ties into the lore. And so if one Drac is, say, missing his horns or his back piece, he's short some attack or defense. And so this is kind of our new utility for running the numbers through the system, running the series of moves. There's an entire API backend to this now, so other interfaces can be built to basically portray the Drac game in other ways. So a goal for us is advanced wars style gameplay, and laying the foundational groundwork in the past 2 weeks of a gaming engine has made that so much more feasible in a shorter run. So we just kind of wanted to I guess I'll go through and I'll show you how the breeding works. So you can select any two Dracs at any point. You're always working with, say, two Dracs, and you can the breeding system works really well in that it'll do everything on the back end, mix them all up, and produce you a new Drac. Oh, demo gods. Where's my pop-up? Where's my pop-up screen? Oh, demo gods. Anyway, this is the new Drac that spawned. You can take these any two at any point, and you can drive over to the map. And this whole mapping system really ties everything together. And this has really come to life in the past 2 weeks, where we've got a lot of work done on the proximity awareness of the assets within the map, really leveraging what we've done on the back end to make real-time data. So all of these assets are updating live in real time. So as clients are playing and doing things with their assets, this will be kind of a global view where everybody will kind of see what's happening. We've employed things like the fog of war. So right now I have it turned down because I have low assets just for development, but there's a fog of war that is, both there for efficiency from a developer standpoint, but also there because it adds some more character to the deep story and lore and shandification of everything that we're doing at Drac. So it's really familiar in any view that you go to. You can at any point move to a different Drac and it'll recalculate everything. It's always aware of what two Dracs you're looking to work with. You can really, in a really fluid manner, move around the game as if it's, something you're kind of used to Web 2 wise. Let me go here. And in all of this, you can do the bloodline viewer, so you can see the hereditary or the bloodline lineage of any Drac that's been bred at any point. You can then jump from here and go locate it on the map. It's a really nice fluid interface that's a progressive web app, and it just ports right over to iOS as well. And that's just really boiled down to having this really great infrastructure that allows us to build the next phase of Drac, which is the battling. And thanks to Grant, who's in the room, we have 4 years, I guess, of tokenomic projections through Grant and the support he's given us. So we're making a lot of really educated moves in how we're building things behind the scenes to make sure that out the gate we're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot. So yeah, it's been really great. And that's kind of at a high level where we are with Drac from, without boring people with too many of the small details, but I'll open it up to the rest of the team or anybody in the room that wants to know more about maybe the details or has any questions about what I've shown. But this is a round of applause moment for my team, at least. You guys should be patting yourselves on the back because you've done a real. Oh, Art, I'm sorry, I didn't even talk about your audio. So, geez, what an asshole I am. So, and I didn't even load it up well enough, and I think my audio is still doing the weird thing in the browser. So let me talk about this because this is an intricate part of the gameplay and the game engine, and Art's work is really what is going to help bring this whole system to life through audio effects and all the things that you come to love in any video game, the swooshes and the attack sounds and the background music and the voiceovers. And I've heard a lot of what Art's done. Hopefully his demo will be ready. And it really, the moment you start playing it with this UI, with the visuals, it really brings the whole game to life. And so what we needed to do was figure out, in all of the complexities of the generator, which essentially with the breeding, there has to be an on the fly deconstruction and recomposing of the Dracs and the swapping of the traits. And in our case, when you're breeding or battling or doing anything, it's going to be aware of the other assets that are around it. All things in Drac matter. All things. I'll actually go back to the map and show you some cool things in a sec. But the intricacies behind the generator alone, then to say, well, we need to apply attacks and defenses to the pre-existing layers. How do we do that with maintaining the integrity of the collection and what has already been distributed, what's on chain and the stats and there was a ton of stuff to figure out. And ultimately what we ended up doing was being able to say in a cohesive way with the rest of our lore and the systems and stuff is we can basically peg down certain body regions as being the attack regions and then certain body regions being the defensive. So say the arms, the claws, the horns, obvious attack. The upper body, the lower body, you kind of envision those as the blocking. So what you see here below these pictures is an exact representation of what was minted in the NFT and what exists between its stats and the different layers that are composed to make that Drac. And so it will automatically decide you've got a wing attack that's available, you've got the lower body defense. And so it's all stems from the layering and the metadata of the NFT, and you can structure your attacks accordingly based on what traits that you have. So say in the case you have one like this where you've got lower traits, but you've got something else you can breed with. There's so much strategy and shandification through all of this that you can theoretically say, well, okay, I'm going to go back, look at the lineage. I know there's hereditary trait skipping. I know that geolocation matters in how it might amplify whatever function I'm going to do, be it breeding or battling. There's all of this really cool detail that can steer you to say, well, maybe I'll hold off and I'll go breed this and come back and battle. I'll have an extra stat. And it all seamlessly works through the system quite nicely. On the back end, there's entire audit trails for every read to the class and every write to the class. If you even just so much as look at the class, there's a record for it, and there's a whole public read basically ledger that we can deploy for transparency and such behind all of this. And this whole dance of systems has come out to the point where when you take Art's audio and you apply it to this ILM structure that we did behind the layering, we get this really immersive detail behind every Drac being able to have its own unique attack, its own unique sound effect, its own unique visual, and it all just fluidly goes through this entire system, whether we're creating new Dracs from scratch, whether we're breeding them or whatnot. And so it's going to make this epically immersive experience. And so some of the example of that, I might be here as a gamer and saying, okay, this Drac or that Drac, they're pretty far away. You might say, okay, well, let me try this Drac. And so the system is pretty good with there's a lot of kind of calculations behind the scenes and whatever, but you can go around and explore. And so you might be looking to battle, you might be looking to breed, but you might be just looking to explore. So we've got different ways of bringing in more lore into different features. Say this wishing well, there's going to be a feature and kind of a story lore minting side to that. And then what's another example? Where did I put? Oh, and then another example would be, the metaverse infusion. So right within the map, you can now jump in and out of the story into spatial IO, for example. So in this case, I jump in and within here, we've done some things like hide NFTs and do the community fun sort of element. But really quickly, I can just jump in and I'm inside the metaverse. That we can kind of, as a community, get to decide, how far we go with everything. But the idea from the story standpoint is all 7 cities on the Isle of Seven City will have their own specific metaverse. Over here, I did this one as, this is the campfire. This is where people will come to, maybe as noobs, come in and learn more about Drac, where, again, to kind of create more of an experience, our entire field guide, that is the whole documentation of Drac, is here in a nice interactive fashion for people to kind of, have this interactive entrance into Drac. The map really gives us all kinds of cool ways to introduce lore, introduce revenue streams, introduce community support and collaboration. Where's the so here, for example, Chief was talking about this mystery box thing that Chief and I are doing, and we have this really cool cross medium outside the box has to do with the box live stream, and it ties minting into this really cool way of creating an experience and tying it into our lore. And it involves a live stream and IoT devices and cryptographic stuff and lock picking, and it's going to be a really cool experience as far as anything you've seen from minting. And so we'll be able to do these things and live stream them straight into the map. So pulling together spatial IO, our own visuals and lore, different mediums is kind of what Drac is set up to do. So I think what we're doing and bringing it all together on the map, doing it with precise processes behind the scenes, so that everything is approached with a sharp pencil as well as a careful eye, and I think we're really pulling this all together. And so where we are today versus 2 weeks ago is we didn't have our own gaming system at all, our own gaming engine. It was a lot of exploration. So having this new admin view of where we can start testing, stacking up different attacks, stacking up different moves, what it means for somebody to breed, what it means for somebody to attack, start running some reports, it really takes us into a giant leap forward as far as how the gameplay is gonna run out. So this is where we are. 2 weeks ago, we didn't have it. Here we are today. Testament to the team. We have the beginnings of a really great gaming engine that can not only just exist for Drac, but can be completely white labeled down the road and presented as a SaaS product to the community with ease. It's already set up that way with the classic AWS infrastructure on the back end. It's really well thought out and scalable pretty quickly. Might have to be polished up a little bit. Still got a bit of my junky code in there, but generally speaking, Drac is extremely well set up to grow as fast as we possibly can whenever the time might grace us. There's one thing to note here about Drac, and you might be wondering, so for the decentralized maxis and the people wondering, how is all this Web 2 creativity in this UI going to amount to a blockchain game? And so Grant can talk more to this, but on the right hand side, it basically boils down with Drac to when are you going to start a game and end a game. So when are you going to commit state, and then when are you going to end it or otherwise challenge that state for discrepancy? And that's really what I guess the blockchain gaming side of Drac comes down to. What are we going to store in state, and when are we going to do it? And so making sure that we were smart about that, and Grant has taught me so much along this way. It really was boiled down for us that and we're watching what Bram is doing closely with the state channels and things on Chia. But it boils down to: am I going to create a Drac? Am I going to breed a Drac? Am I going to battle a Drac? Or do I want to go locate and do something with my Drac? And at those 4 points, if we run those as the high level point of the application where you enter into any sort of crypto side, I think by doing it this way, we are going to bridge this gap of, and some people say Web 2.5, it's whatever. I think our game on the Web 2 side is going to be strong. The lore is strong. The feature list grows and continues to plug in nicely and scalable and robustly. And I think we have these really good set of boundaries and principles of how we're going to use the blockchain as a way to bring an additional tool and features to the user base of Drac. And so, in closing of all that, I hope that kind of rounds out and showcases where we are with Drac. And I hope you like what you see. But if you have any questions, please, somebody else talk other than me. Maybe Grant.
Well, this is Michael. I just, every time I see everything that you put, it's just, that you're showing, it's the second time I've seen some sort of demo. And just like the love and detail behind this whole thing just blows me away every time I see it. I just think it's like super awesome and well put together, even with its work in progress state.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you.
Yeah, I can speak a bit to what you were just talking about, Jeff. So as far as like the state, right? So there's a couple things to think about with respect to this, and I did talk about this a bit in a space the other day and tweeted about it. It's really important when we're thinking about how the game's going to work that we minimize the amount of stuff that we actually bring onto chain, or that where we need stuff to interact with the chain, because obviously blockchains are slow by nature, and we don't want users waiting around for a lot of stuff. So what Bram's been working on with respect to state channels and payment channels is really going to be leveraged by Drac in a big way. And so we can plan for that as the game design progresses by thinking about the various points at which you actually need some blockchain state to do something. And really with the idea around that Dracs can take damage, and damage is permanent, and there are real consequences in the battling system to a Drac taking too much damage and dying, right? So those are the kinds of things that we need to keep track of. And so when you think about starting a game, you need to say, these are the Dracs that I am going to commit into game state, into the battle. And then as the battle progresses, there's a certain amount of stuff that's happening. So you can think about the stuff that's happening, which is you're using up items, or your Dracs are taking damage, or your Dracs are dying, and that's happening in the state channel. And then what happens is you have to close or resolve the state channel and write all of that data back to the the permanent L1. And these are the types of things that we need to think about. If you've heard Bram talk about how the state channel actually works, you could think about somebody trying to cheat, or someone trying to do something where you brought one of your really valuable primals in, and somebody says, "Oh my God, my primal just died." Like, I know what I can do. I can move that NFT quick, and I can cheat Drac out of death, and he'll not really take the damage. And so this is where slashing occurs, right? So if you have somebody that's trying to do something against what is appropriate for the rules of the state channel, such as spending an asset which shouldn't be spent because it's been committed into the state channel, this is where you would have some sort of penalty that would occur for that type of an action. And it's the way that you open the state channel that will facilitate a lot of that. Now, some of these details aren't 100% available just yet, right? Because we're still waiting to see what's happening in exactly how Bram's going to do this. But the beautiful thing about how we can do software design is we can say, we know roughly how it's going to work. We know roughly the places where we need to do state transitions, where we need to handle certain types of events, cheating type of events that may occur, or even things that are routine, like I lost my connection to the server and I'm no longer able to play, but I got reconnected, or I permanently lost my connection to the server and now the game times out and I die, or all my Dracs die, or something like that, occurs, and I have to handle each of these different cases. So if we think about the blockchain as just being this very specialized kind of database that we need to write to at various points, then we can really, in the game design and at this point, plan for what we're going to have when we eventually have it, and then fill in those details when they become available. So right now, a lot of what we're doing, as far as the work Jeff and I are doing together, is just making sure that we plan for this appropriately, that we have certain types of back-end systems set up, such as the interaction between Wallet Connect. How is the game actually going to proceed? How are you going to commit those assets? What is it going to look and feel like when you interact with a wallet? And what exactly is it that you need the wallet to do, particularly to prove that you have certain Dracs and that they should be committed to game state, versus you not actually having the Dracs you're attesting to? So you have to sign certain NFTs, you have to prove that you have certain things, and then you can start the game. So, the blockchain is really facilitating this permanent asset storage and the self-custody and the ownership of digital assets, as well as this stuff related to minting, breeding, and the long-term interactions of Dracs as they take damage or die over time.
Well said, man. Well said. Yeah, there's a lot of.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
One thing I was going to speak to is our combat system actually is kind of designed to work in single user push to the chain as an event situation. There's not like a lot of interactivity once the initial battle starts whatsoever. So it simplifies a lot of that. What you were just talking about.
Yeah, I like how we've got the whole the whole system set up in the back. I don't know if it's worth showing or sharing. But the backend system, for those who care, for the nerdy ones in the room, so it's a MongoDB setup, replica set. Some of it's provided as a service, some of it's us doing our own thing on AWS, and scalable and fast. No SQL relational stuff. It's really easy, and so data go in, data go out. We've got pipelines set up. There's all the life cycle hooks that we could ever need are there, so that we can mutate data, validate data, do whatever we need to along the way. It all pipes over from one platform to the next, and so I think what you'll see over the next year with Drac is a pretty fast escalation from where we are today to like an RC1, contingent on, obviously, like Grant said, what we're waiting to see what Bram's doing, and I think that's well worth the wait. And I don't think we're in a rush for anybody. I think that's part of the great thing about Drac, is that it just quietly chugs along like a locomotive, and we don't need to make a lot of noise just yet until we've got these great game features. But I think when this all rolls out, I'm hoping you guys in the room see what I see, and see what the team sees, and can see that we're bringing so much more than just number go up or token swap for this to get this. This is intended to be an ecosystem, and I guess to that point, for those that again in the room care, on the nerdy side, this is all built, all of it built in a way that I could very easily put any project on this if they took the time to write the content and put the pieces and the puzzle together. This is, and that's testament to what Dread and Chief are doing too with containerizing this all. This will be a platform that can be rolled out for many others and many other projects. And with what we're going to do with on the micro payment side of thing, the micro transactions, I think for many people in the space who are wondering, it's one thing to be able to make one NFT. It's another thing to be able to do a generative NFT. It's another to build a brand. It's another to build a brand with revenue streams. And I think, testament to everybody on the team, like we've always kept the art and the fun at the front, but we're all very much realists in that there has to be this business and brand to it. And I love seeing demo days like today, because I think it shows today that we're here to do some serious work on building brand and technology and so on. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the demo. Did anybody else have any questions? Wow, big room. I see multiple people. Okay, I guess Chief, Dread, Brad, Lucas, as the team, did you guys have anything you wanted to add in?
I wanted to add a little bit more. I was thinking about the Revolt server, of how basically I'm writing Ansible and Docker, so anyone could just set up an AWS free tier box and run one command and set up their own revolt.chat. So I'm really, like I said earlier, a big centralization maximalist, not a big fan of Discord. So one of the things with that is I'm hoping other projects, that have enough users where, an AWS free tier is enough. They just get off Discord, have their own chat server, and have more control over their community.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we do with integrations there. For sure. Just like we were talking about how we can integrate wikis and all that extra detail in the shandification of Drac and taking it deeper down the old shandy hole.
And we were even talking about having like a Drac LLM. We could have them talk to that in the Revolt server.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
could be a channel where you talk to the Drac bot or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. We can the nice thing about Drac is that we're so open-ended. We can at any point spin lore and explore and apply technology in creative ways that give it a little more meaning than just do it to do it, and building, when you build and you have a purpose or like something that's practically applicable, I just find it just goes much better. So yeah. This has been good. This has been a good 2 weeks, man. I'm really excited about all the work that we've done. Earlier, I was talking about all of our work on screen, and my screen was off. So, circle back for those who give a damn. This is the work that the team and I run off of for 2 weeks. We plan, we take ownership of items and tickets, and we break things down. We do time estimates. We've got our Gantt charts, and we've got our mind maps, and we've got our tables and lists all set up so that we track everything that's happening with Drac, even side projects. Each team member often has their own project on the side. They need help, we bring it in here, but you can see that we take Drac very, very seriously, as we do with all of our projects, but Drac tends to be a very good way to kind of showcase some talents and work that we're all doing as well. So for those in the room that either are looking for collaborators or whatever, the development guys on the team are open and available for work outside of Drac. They have lives too and need to pay bills. So if you're looking for anybody, I would reach out to Chief and Dread. And they could probably help you out. They're a couple of big brains. And so I guess I'll leave it to, I'm going to, yeah, I can hear you, Brad.
Okay, so I'll show my screen. I can't do the direct audio, what I wanted to do, but I'll kind of show exactly kind of what I've been working on, what I'm going to be working on for the next couple of weeks.
Please do.
So let me open this and share this. Let's go here. All right, so next demo day, I'll have to get a special cable so I can run this directly into Jitsy's audio. But basically, I have about 30 audio outputs, and so running this is a little different for everybody. So I'll play it, and this will be like through my studio monitors, and you'll just have to do it through the laptop audio.
And is this the long clip of all the clips?
No, this is just a lore. So
okay.
Just so you can get the basic of what I've been working on for spatial audio. Let's get these mains up.
One general, sit by the fire. Listen to the tale I have to tell.
So what I've been working on, if you'll see in this little screen here that I'm hovering my microphone over, each one of these objects, right, this little yellow is a voice. So this is the voiceover right here. So the spatial audio that we're doing comes from one side to another. And this is why I wanted everyone to be able to wear headphones today, so you could actually hear what I'm hearing in binaural sound. But this yellow object over here represents in the room. So what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks is really dialing down where these object sounds are coming from. So as you can see the yellow ball moving, that's where the object's going to be sound-wise. So it really changes it from mono to bipolar to a full 3D animation. So it's really going to bring that extra aspect of, realism and, like we said, shandification into the audio environment. So when you're immersed in this game and inside this environment, it doesn't pull you out because you're like, well, the battle is in front of me, but I hear it in back of me. That's really going to be, again, those little details that we need to iron out in order to make this feel real. So what I've been working on over the last couple weeks is all these different audios. So we're going to go over to the battle voiceover audio that I've been working on. And you'll get kind of a little bit of a taste of what this is going to be like. Oh, this is the original. So this is kind of some variations of different sound sets that we're going to be having throughout the game, again, to try to add a dynamic environment into it instead of just a static single move, single reply for your audio. So take a listen.
Select your track. Select your track. Ready your track. Ready your track. Prepare for battle. Prepare for battle. First strike. First strike. First strike. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. They're gonna feel that one tomorrow. You're gonna feel that one tomorrow. Charging shield. Charging your shield. Charging shield. They're charging their shield. You missed that one. They missed that one. They missed that one. Raising shields. Raising shields. They blocked that one. You blocked that one. Blew them away. Charging special attack. Charging special attack. They're charging their special attack. Prepare for special attack. Burn them to the ground. Bury them. Freeze them solid. Blow them away.
This is so cool.
Fatal blow. Fatal blow. Fatal blow.
This is so cool.
You are victorious. Victory! Victory is yours.
That's cool, Brad. That's probably we get. I think we get the idea.
But that's again
Man.
what I've been working on to try to get all those different,
So
voices
good.
kind of the atmosphere of what's going to be going on. So again, next step is going to be, again, the spatial awareness of those each individual elements and objects, and making, again, that kind of tight knit sound to visual audioscape.
This is gonna be so, dude. The whole time I'm hearing those, I'm picturing Drac. I'm picturing the visuals, the animation, the battling, going around the map, trying to scope out who's got what Dracs you can spare, what ones you can breed, what kind of strategy. It's gonna be so much fun to play. Great job, dude. The audio brings it up just so much, and I'm not an audio guy in that sense. So Drac has been void of audio for the better part of almost 2 years. I tried to hire one Web3 guy to do an intro music for me. It was, I don't know, it was $1,000 worth of ETH, and it was garbage. I think I threw the file out and deleted it. I have no idea where it is. It was total waste. So I was hesitant, but when Art said, "Oh, I do music," and I was like, "Oh my god, somebody that I know and trust to bring into Drac." Because Drac is very personal for me. So thanks for doing such a great job, Art, and taking it so
Yeah, my pleasure.
personal, because it shows. And And I think when all of that comes together with the visuals and all the work that Chief and Dredd and Lucas are doing, like, oh, Grant, buddy, oh, I couldn't do this without you either. Like, this, just thank you so much, guys. This demo really showcases a lot of the effort that is going into Drac from a bunch of degenerates that have collided together on the internet, right? So I think testament to everybody's work, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Appreciate it. Anybody have any questions? Call her a day.
I've got to
Lucky.
drop out here. Great demo, Drac. Grant, Michael, Lucky. Who else is here? There was somebody else here from the community. 90s Redbeard. Good to see y'all. I'll see y'all in spaces or whatnot. And team, I'll talk to y'all later.
Thanks, buddy.
Check it out. Yeah.
We'll talk soon, man. Cool. So, Michael Taylor, Lucky 8. Give you a last chance.
That was just super cool. Great to see the progress that's been happening.
Cool. Likewise. Sorry, go Lucky. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, likewise, I appreciate the invite to see what you guys got going on, as both as a Chia community member and also as a longtime Dracattus holder.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I really appreciate you always being there, man. So we're always working hard. I mean, it's a learning process for me along the way. Come into Web3 from Web2. It's a learning process from day one, and lofty goals, and ups and downs, and markets, and FUD, and the whole thing. And I think, like I said earlier, I feel like Drac is a bit of a like a locomotive, just chugs along, and we've taken a lot of hits and rode the market. And I think testament to what the project is, and as a whole, I think that's why we have this kind of staying power. So hopefully do y'all proud as Drac holders. And yeah, okay, that wraps up Friday demos. It's Friday. Have a great day. Pat yourselves on the back, boys. I really appreciate all the hard work. The guests, you guys can take off if you want, and then I'm gonna have a little wrap up with the team here. Thanks for coming. Oh, Lucky 8, yes. Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe it was a delay. Cyber Arts, how are ya?
Hello, my friend.
I gotta go. I gotta run right quick, guys. My kid's just getting ready to head out the doors. If y'all stay there, I'll be back in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes at most.
After these messages.
All right, sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be right back. But I gotta do kid swap. Hold on.
All right.
I'm so bummed that the audio engine wouldn't let me mix sounds.
Dude, you're so fucking smart with audio, though. Like, I was looking at your whole setup. I'm like, there's different directions the audio comes from. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's the next. That's not even really the next stage of it. Again, all these tracks are very unmixed. So these are very.
I thought there was left and right speaker. I didn't realize there was spatial stuff.
Oh, that's
You legend.
I have the ability to do Atmos mixing.
Well, that's another thing we should do in code too. Is like, once you get an idea of like, okay, this is like this area and this event will have this kind of audio mixing. That's something else we can do with JavaScript too. In the client side, like, hey, play this flat audio file and apply these effects to it. DSP, virtual DSP, and we can get the same thing. So like, when you're in, once you have the hard work planned out of like, this area is a cave, so it has more of a resonance.
Exactly.
For instance. We can literally just say, okay, well, here's our ILM function for playing sound, and we'll set state to cave. So now it's going to play all the sounds you're playing, play the cave filter over the sounds. And then you don't have to worry about, oh, dude, I got to mix the left and right audio for the cave, right? It's like, instead it's like, all right, here's the general attack audio. We're just going to put the cave filter over it, and like, it could be exactly your spec of how you want, everything to sound. But like, then your work is like, I can just record whatever half-assed up all the extra hardware.
Yeah, because once you implement those objects in space, then see, that's what's much easier is like when we're going to be in a 3D environment, it's easy because you have geolocation object lock, right? But inside of a it's a non-dimensional space of audio. You're trying to emit a 3D soundscape. So yes, you can do mono, which again, that was going to be my demonstration today, is the difference between those. Is playing like the battle scene through mono versus stereo. Stereo is binaural, and that's really the difference. So binaural adds that third object of height to it.
Yep. No, I'm completely with you. I'm not as big of a sounder as I would like to be, but I know enough to be dangerous, and I can definitely see that you know quite a bit of what you're talking about with how you're going over all this shit.
I've been doing this for like 20 years or so, doing audio. So
yeah, I've been kicking rocks for 26, so that's almost
yeah.
I've been around.
Yeah, I started playing in a band when I was 14, and then I did it professionally for 17 years. So.
Oh, dude, when I was 14, I was in a band. I played the electric guitar, or I played the plastic guitar. My friends played the plastic drums. My other friend used the USB microphone, and then I had another friend who was playing plastic bass.
That's great.
We were true guitar heroes.
That's great.
So what did you guys think of the demo?
I thought it went decent. I feel bad I didn't have stuff to present, but I kind of had a really hectic morning and late yesterday, so.
Yeah, there's some details to iron out on my end, but other than that.
So Brad, there's a thing called virtual audio cable. I don't know if you're familiar with that tool or not, but it's on Windows. It's free.
Who's breathing in the scuba gear in the mic? Who's got the scuba gear on?
I think it's Steve because Mike's a little close to him. So we're still recording. You probably stopped the recording now. Correct.
I think a big reason why there was so slow and just so many glitches today was because we had so many people.
Yeah, that too.
Because the Jitsi backend probably was just shitting itself a little bit.
Was it really glitchy?
Yeah, all of the video streaming, at least on my end, was getting pretty glitchy.
Oh shit! Was it clear enough that people would make out most of it?
Yeah, most of it. Like when you were doing your demo, I could see it. It was just a little bit of pixelization, but like when Art was doing his, there was a little bit of green, and like the screen was going green color a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jitsi, like we're making peer-to-peer connections with each other, like we're connecting directly to each other with WebRTC. And so if when you have all these people, different people's connections who have slower connections can slow the whole call down kind of thing. But in most situations, it just makes it a lot faster. Kind of like Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, no, I could hear you guys clear when you guys were doing
Yeah, the audio was great. It was just the video sometimes that was being a little bit glitchy. But maybe Dread, what are you running your Jitsi backend on? Just like a VPS or your powerful box?
There's the Ocean box.
How powerful?
$5 or $10 box.
Okay.
But the thing is,
hey, listen.
Oh, sorry.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there, but I see Redbeard still in the group, so I kind of want to give Redbeard the stage for a minute, dude, because you've been. Oh, Clyde. Clyde, did you miss the demo?
I did miss the demo, unfortunately, but here for the conversation.
I recorded it. It was really good.
Perfect. Yeah, sorry for jumping in late there.
That's all good. So I was gonna say, Redbeard, buddy, like you've been around the project for so long, and you've seen, where we are now. You've seen literally where we've come from. What are your thoughts, and what kind of questions or what kind of pointers do you think, from a community member standpoint, do you think areas where we could improve?
Yeah, man. So, I mean, dude, you already know, man, you've come a long freaking ways from, when you first started. And like you said, I've been around since the beginning. And then seeing what you guys just put together and put out there, man, that's really amazing. I can see it all. I mean, I can see it all in functionality mode in my head. I do got a question though. You're talking about all the different aspects of 3Ding and traits and whether or not they have this trait, that trait. So say someone was to tuck a primal away that they never was to breed or never was to do anything with, would that eventually have some sort of like, you know what I mean? Would that have like a special thing to it in the long run?
So I'm going to tell you this. Always, all along, I've always kind of tried to put detail in everything, right? And it's Dread and Chief recently got me onto this whole shandification thing. And it really is basically is like this word that I wish I had known existed because it sums up Drac. And so round that back to your question, yes, everything, everywhere we can put an implication of your actions in, we're going to. So in holding on to something for a long time, for example, you're not going to increase your bond. So if you look on your Drac, it's called compatibility on the NFT, but it's just bond has been an easier word to kind of fit into it all. And so you got to think of it like interacting with your Drac will bring its apathy down and its compatibility up, which obviously is going to benefit you. But then again, it's going to depend on how you decide to play, because you might just want to say, I'm just going to breed my Dracs because I like doing that side of it. And so maybe you might not care one way over the other about certain aspects. But yeah.
Can I say something for a minute? Take that and thought on this as well. Like, I think with what Redbeard's talking about specifically with someone holding on to a trait, is it like, just to make it more rare, for instance? That's the thing that's cool about that. Somebody could do that, and it would drive the price, and we wouldn't have to implement anything to do that. We just had an existing, marketplace that we were talking about the other day, right? Like a grand exchange kind of feature. Someone holding on to their trait, a specific trait for forever and only breeding like, 5 Drac a year or something with that specific trait that no one else has. Again, it's just somebody using the breeding function selectively as a user. There's no
So in the beginning, like a lot of people, like I don't know, I don't think very many people in here were like, other than Art, maybe was part of like Matt, and I just have remembered Drac always said like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. We're special numbers with the Dracs, right? So when I ended up minting, I ended up getting number 1 Drac. And so like I just kind of want to like, well, my idea was I just want to kind of tuck that one away, and like what it is, I don't want to alter it, and I just didn't know if that would at some point become like extremely rare in the game, like if it would,
I think in the provenance of everything alone, just don't let anything happen to it. I think just on that alone, like if you've got number 1, dude, like you just hold on to it, man. Don't ever let that one go. Like maybe play with it if you want. Like I don't want to say not to do that, but I would hold on to it. I would think that's
as Drac gets bigger, I know people are gonna be looking at that Drac thinking, I'll give a lot of money for that one. Because the other day I was just looking through the Dracs that have been minted and people own, and I was looking at the primals, and I was like, oh, what's number 1 Drac? And I was literally looking at, I guess, your Drac. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Whoever owns this is, they've been in since day 1. So that's going to be really cool in the future as it grows.
Chief, I just thought about this. This is like the OG username thing, but imagine if you could have your OG username make more OG usernames that you could then sell off for royalties. It's model. That's what's happening right here.
Well, how would that work? Because the idea with OG usernames is exclusivity. Very few people have a 2 or 3 letter username on most things because they, there's not many of them. So how would you keep that exclusivity that makes them valuable?
This guy's got number 1, right? So anything from lineage is coming from the number 1 Drac. Splicing or breeding.
Well, yeah, this goes into like royal bloodlines and heritage, like we were talking about last week. Like there's going to be families of Dracs that are, powerful in the ecosystem and people like and want, from a certain hereditary line.
Yeah, like, oh man, my Drac was sired or damned by like, a great grandchild of like the number 1 Drac, like literally.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And then you're not giving up your initial.
Yeah, it's the Dracattus primal number 1 that I have. and it's like
Oh,
the white
dude,
and
yeah, no, you hang on to that one.
Wait, the diamond primal, like the one with the cool beard.
no, he's got he's like the blue and white ice guy with
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah,
it's got
I
like
know the
a
one you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
It's nice, man. It's nice. Yeah. No, hang on to that red beard. Dude, that's a badge. Man, with everything we got planned to do, like I would never let that one go. That's
no, I
just
don't
on
plan
promise.
to.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
tuck
I
that
don't plan to.
in all other cases. I would say it might cause certain stats to go down, but I think that'll be testament to like almost like an unopened box of like a GI Joe or something down the road. You know.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
So, I actually bought 4 primals of the Chia that I had in my wallet, like when we first started doing this. So I have a desert one, a sea one, a ice one, and a diamond or crystal one. So all primals.
Nice, dudes. So yeah, the primals are
I
the
only just got my first primal like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
I think I have like 14 primals and 10 regulars, something like that.
Aside from the deployer wallet, like I'm probably one of the worst Drac holders. Like I have no Dracs left. I've given them away. I didn't take any primals at all. Like I have a horrible collection myself. You guys are already kicking my ass.
I own no Drax. I've only ever owned one Chia NFT, and that's a Space Marmot, and I was given that for free. Or actually, I've the only other NFT I've owned hasn't really even been like an NFT art project. It was the Arkham airdrop because I had a bunch of Arkham accounts.
That's part of the reason I'm trying to get Wall Connect for Chia working so much is because I wanted to get breeding my primals that I've got. So I keep bugging you about it.
There. Sorry, Redbeard. I had to mute you. Your background was really loud. I was trying to figure out who it was. So Clyde, you missed a bunch of the demo, man. Sorry for that, but there's a whole bunch of cool shit that is relevant to like the many discussions we have. So for the guys in the room that don't know, Clyde is one of the big brains behind Nifter, and Clyde and Greg are really talented, and they've been. Greg gave me some private lessons. Clyde's always there to help answer my questions. And there's always been this understanding of them and I wanting to work together. And so for the guys new on the development team, so Clyde, that would be Chief and Dread. The work that Clyde and Greg do over at Nifter with they're open sourcing, a marketplace for people for their own NFTs. They're doing, they did the Chip 15 standard. They're doing all the great work with the stems and how to do all that kind of stuff. And I don't think the roadmap for how we work together yet is clear, but I think it's clear that their work and what Drac is trying to do are very closely related and share a lot of common ground, and mostly around like say the stem stuff. So where we have essentially the system that will decompile or recompile or generate a Drac at any point, having down the road goals like royalty splitting for artist contributions. So internally as a team, we've talked about things like, for example, you have some group on the internet. Let's use Tang Gang, for example, because they're everywhere right now. So you have Tang Gang, right? And you want to, there's this whole community kind of pride that each little pocket has on Twitter. And, by having groups being able to submit artwork that fits with the lore of Drac and make it, be it an art contest or whatever, we can have like little updates to different traits and different features of Drac. And through what Clyde and Greg are doing, the high level picture would be, it'd be really nice to drive out, what a lot of people in the community like is the royalty sharing, just like we're doing with the breeding with the stuff that Lucky 8 built. We basically plugged it in. It was really easy. And now we have the royalty sharing on breeding, but wouldn't it be cool if you had that royalty sharing on, say, the composition of the Dracs themselves? And, some artist submits this artwork, into however it gets selected, and it gets included in the collection. Well, that gets attributed to some sort of action in our ILM system. So the moment there's a new trait, it gets a new setup based on its body region, and then it gets all kinds of stats assigned to it. So how that body piece, or the say the clause or whatever, performs in battles could be a direct reflection of the values assigned to it by this artwork that's brought in. And so using the stuff with Clyde and Greg, I see that being the stems and our ability to incorporate kind of some of that community growth later. So just kind of a bit of a rant there about Drac and Clyde and what I envision for Drac and stuff. A usual
That was
rant.
spot on. That was beautiful.
How are you, man? What's new?
Oh, living the dream, getting a little busy. Yeah, so I work a couple of different jobs. I also work directly with Chia. What Greg and I do is outside of my work with Chia, and that's what Drac is talking about also. So it's been great, man. Keeping busy on both sides of things. We're getting very close to the Fusion Zoo launch, and we decided we did a little bit of overdevelopment in that regard, just so that we can make it a lot easier to build out ecosystems in the future. So everything we're doing with the Fusion Zoo is going to be Dockerized and running through a messaging queue system, so that every single component for, whether it's the wallet operations, the actual on-chain operations for the singleton creation or interactions, or the Fusion Zoo side for the UI, and people are messing around creating their own NFTs. All those different interactions can be held in their own Docker and then relay back to the main message command center, if you will. And then it just allows us to expand out to optimize and build out those other parts of the ecosystem a lot more efficiently.
Hell yeah, that's something me and Dredd have actually been working on recently, is Dockerizing all of Drac's backend, and also I'm going to be writing Ansible deploys for that, just so all that DevOps stuff, make it super easy to migrate, scale, completely, take down, prop up the.
Why don't you pull up your presentation there again, Chief? And
okay, yeah, great idea.
Well, before Chief goes into that, I was going
Yeah,
to
love to see that.
Chief, it's ironic that, the other thing that I thought you were going to bring up is Sex Factory. Like, he was talking about message queues, launching, with containers and prep.
Well, yeah. Yeah, we're doing quite a bit of that too.
Yeah, like that's our other project. So we have a project where the idea is take Kali doc containers and then run all the enumeration stuff a normal penetration tester or red team would run inside those containers, pump that to a messaging queue or Kafka, and then have listeners that basically spin up new containers to do further and more detailed enumeration based stuff, like, I run an nmap scan. Okay, I find Apache. Okay, I scan.
Yeah. And I mean, me and Dredd can look at these outputs from these scan tools and immediately see, there's probably a vulnerability there. So if we pump in a shit ton of HackerOne scopes, then just by law of averages, we just look at these outputs that are running automatically and we find some bug bounties, some low-hanging fruit.
They automate the entirety of the bug bounty process across the industry for just.
But can you guys see my my slide, my beautiful Google Slides?
Yep, looking good.
Okay.
I can.
My Dracattus demo. I'm Chief. Very nice to meet you guys. So right off the bat, Docker, like you're talking about, me and Jared, we've been working on containerizing the infrastructure, everything, putting everything into microservice best practices, so we can use resources efficiently. We can take advantage of AWS's, ability to use more resources cheaply that you don't necessarily own and rent, and all that cool stuff with the cloud, and also just make migrating super, super easy in the future, or scaling. And then also with Ansible and Docker, I've been setting up our internal mail servers. Just been using Mail in the Box for now because it's really efficient. You can turn off Clam AV, which we're just going to turn off attachments. So we don't need all that CPU power scan attachments. We'll just turn them off. And then also that R is revolt.chat, which is an open source end-to-end encrypted implementation of Discord, and you can self-host it. So myself, I'm a really big decentralization maximalist kind of guy. So I'm very against Discord, and I've been working to get Drac off of the whole Discord monopoly of communication and user base and onto Revolt, so we can own our community and try to basically make it super easy for other crypto communities to do that too. Just I'm going to open source all the Ansible and Docker so anyone can have a domain, change their DNS, run one command, have the Revolt, community set up. And the Revolt has some great webhooks built into it. And also the Drac backend is built on the parse server, which also has, a really easy way to build webhooks in the panel it has. So I've been working on, some cool stuff with the Revolt community with basically things happen on Drac. You can get notifications, primals get bred. You could have a channel that shows that or anything like that. Just Discord has bots. That's one of the main reason people use it. So one of the things getting people off Discord is building those bots they use. And then me and Drac have also been working on a mystery box project with, we're starting on doing an Ethereum chain, but it's going to be multi-chain. It's going to be like an ARG kind of game with a physical IoT devices, kind of bring crypto into the real world, make it a little less ephemeral. And that is it. That was my demo, my beautiful slideshow.
That was beautiful. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. I hadn't heard about Revolt previously, so I'm definitely adding that to my list here. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
and
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say whenever I'm done with all the Ansible and Docker, I'm just going to be putting it on GitHub, and so anyone can. I mean, you obviously know a lot about backends, so you probably don't need that, but I'm just trying to make it super easy for people who are crypto people but aren't necessarily Web 2 people to still be decentralization maxis, not just NFT maxis.
Absolutely, and I think that's exactly where this should go for sure.
What were you going to say, Jeff?
I like having you on the team, man, as a maxi, because I'm just so Web 2. That's so my world. Like Web 3 doesn't come as. So it's really nice having that as blind spot checks, extra added strength to the team. I like all of what you're doing with this Revolt server and all that stuff. So
that's what originally made me really, want to work with you. It's like you're not a Web 3 guy, you're a Web 2 guy. Yeah. I am too. I've always been into crypto and blockchain for like digital cash aspect of it and just decentralizing services when smart contracts became a thing. And beyond that, I don't really care much for crypto, to be perfectly honest. That's where I stand in the community. So I'm big on Monero and Auxin and just privacy things.
Yeah. While you're here, you know what I'll do is I'm just gonna point out some because you've seen a bunch of Drac stuff, so rather than me go the whole fucking roll, I'm just gonna point out some things that you probably haven't seen before. So, last time you saw Drac, we probably didn't have this side panel set up this way. So this has really been set up for a couple reasons. One, as like a context-aware menu, so wherever you are in whatever you're doing with Drac, this just kind of centralizes like the concept of which Dracs am I working with. Like,
squishy Fluffy. Thank you, Fluffy.
But these buttons here really, and I can speak to this more to you than some people. But okay, so state channel stuff, right, on the gaming side. Grant and I talked a lot about when are you running transactions? When are you signing? How's that feeling gameplay? The psychology behind it, all those things that go into it. And it really breaks down to 4 kind of entry points, like 4 entry points to going on some sort of state channel, whatever Bram cooks up. And that's like when you create a Drac, so create mint, or you're in some way in some system creating a Drac. So you're going to need to do stuff on chain there. Breedings kind of ties into the same thing. Battling kind of ties into the same thing. And then locate is really when you're going into, say, like the map is really when you're going to want to commit things, because within the map, there's going to be a whole bunch of ideally a bunch of micro transactions so that we've got revenue streams. And so in the story and the lore and the gameplay and the mini map and all of that, going into the map is kind of the start of a state that you're going to want to monitor and evaluate at the end when you exit that state. So that's why this is kind of set up this way, although it just appears to be like a menu or whatever. But this, from a developer standpoint, this looks like how we're going to, like from a high level just design principle standpoint, this is how. Oh, there's Degen. Stop. Oh, it's going to keep buzzing on me. Sorry, Degen. I should send him the
I
link.
was looking for my signal to close out.
No, it's me. So that's why that's like that now, Clyde. So there's that. And other new stuff is I did a whole bunch of work on the map. So before, when I gave you a demo, it was just kind of like click something and you got like the little black pop-up where you branched off, classic like low level kind of shit, like first dev stuff. But now it's set up really to let me see here. Am I having a glitch? Basically, like everything I'm always trying to do is give this like seamless story driven experience. So now it's set up so that the same tiles that you get in the gallery you get on the map. So when you're moving around and you're selecting Drax, it's calculating the distance and the proximity and the assets within its proximity, and all feeding back to the server, but you've kind of got this nice, easy interface that you're already used to from browsing the collection over here. And this is just a nice, easy component that just you feed in the ID for the Drac and off you go. And it can be either a UID specific to your DB, or it could just be like the NFT ID as far as just, collecting and coordinating the data across things. So, these blue and red lines don't stay. I just put those in for demo today to kind of highlight and visualize what's happening for those that were in the room. So, proximity aware assets, that's going to be fun. And then I showed, say, for example, different types of assets. So this is some AI work done by one of the guys in the group, and just to depict that there's going to be this kind of cool wishing well game feature, or for example, there's the mystery box here, which is stuff that Chief and I are doing with an IoT device, and we're going to live stream it, and it's a whole crack the box code thing. It's going to be really fun. I think I've talked to you about it before, Clyde. So just the overall experience, there was some heavier, like nerdier upgrades. So like at first, when I first did concept, like the pop-ups and things were more hard-coded HTML within the job, just sloppy blasting through it. So everything's been recently upgraded to components, and so it's fully tied into all the proper life cycles and the MVV kind of like setup or whatever. So that's cool and upgraded and functioning nicely. And then the Drac battle system has really been a lot of work over the past 2 weeks, and so this system drives off the traits. It ties into a back. I don't mind showing you, Clyde. But so we have this ILM system that is tied to through pointers and relations and stuff. Each ILM or action, it has a category: defense, attack, which source of the body it comes from. That relates back to different layers, all the layers that make up Drac, and then that all collides down into, say, the Dracattus class, where you can see all of the relevant ILM items, the layers that make up the Drac. That spills out into games and all of this great auditing that we have, and this really robust backend, which I know Grig's really familiar with Parse. But it really drives out to the point where very easily we can see that just by clicking through the Dracs, they're very different, both in number and stats as well as quantity of features and available features. So this Drac here on the right, you see it's got no horns, it has nothing on its back. You can see that it's short on attack. So this guy's only going to go so far when it comes to battling, because you just don't have the sheer number of attacks to likely take on this other one. Now, granted, there's a whole bunch of lore and shantification that we're doing, so that could change. But yeah, each layer of every NFT has an action in the ILM database tied to it, which has media tied to it, values and everything, and that ultimately just culminates down to what I think Dread, Chief, and myself are going to have a lot of fun doing with the algorithms on the back end, which, guys, I didn't tell you yet because we just were busy with demo day, but this is all now as far as like sorting and organizing and picking your attacks and then sending to the back end. That's done now. So I was having a whole bunch of issues with obviously the normal things of like when you're reordering and things get out of sequence and I've got to track things and so on and so on and so on. But now it works really well. And so, if I hit the little hidden execute down here, it fires off to the server, and we get to have all kinds of fun doing all the algorithmic stuff and then sending back the response and then doing the replay animations and the sound effects and all that stuff. So Clyde, that's kind of news. It's a lot new since I think we last spoke, because this didn't exist at all 2 weeks ago. It was still me playing with Unity. Speaking of Unity, you know, the stuff that Greg showed me, that's brought in here now, so you can quickly jump over into the Drac world, or I did this one, the campfire one. And so the map gives you this really cool way to, you know, there's the live stream would be here, and I might want to look at this Drac, and the two Dracs I have selected are really far apart, so they're probably not going to interact very well. So while I'm looking at the assets that are around and I'm investigating, I can swap the two Dracs that, well, you know, let me find a pair that are close together, you know, and this one's got water and it's out in the water. So you start doing your research and you think, okay, well, I'll breed that one with this one. And you end up with something like this. And then you want to, you know, you want to see the history. Okay, where did this one come from? Oh, that's where it gets its mushroom from. And that's it, so on and so on. And you get to build this really cool gaming experience for however you really would like to, whether you want to be a battler, a breeder, a trader, a collector. And so, yeah, man, that's some of the new stuff since you've last seen it.
Man, that is awesome. I am loving it all. The new side panel to keep track of everything, what you're doing for the location-based identification of assets. That is just amazing. Man, the whole battling system. I was looking for the exploding head emoji on here and I can't find it.
Yeah, well, that's a testament to Dread and Chief, man. And I'm not a game developer, as you know. It's been a learning curve, but they brought in a lot of knowledge and just a lot of challenging thoughts and a lot of thought-provoking conversation that's been had over the past 2 weeks. I sat down and, you know, Dread did the foundation and basically plotted this whole thing out and was like, this is how you have to do it. And it was like, okay. And it was like, can you port it over? And off I went. And I haven't been able to sleep, you know, up at 3 a.m, going back to bed at like 1 a.m. And it just has been a whirlwind and beyond exciting, other than this black screen bug. This one's driving me fucking nuts, but it's neither here nor there. It's been really, really inspiring. It's been uplifting. It's opened a lot of doors. It's taken a lot of obstacles out of the way. It's just answered generally a bunch of, you know, questions, and from that have stemmed updates and the whole idea of like how this card is on multiple screens and you're used to moving from here to there to back here to details back again. It's really fluid, and I've worked really hard to create this experience, and the gameplay system and the whole architecting of the game engine that Dread and Chief have helped me with is, it just plugged in so fluidly, man. And because this is all done with parse, and we have all of this back end API system with all of our authentication and everything taken care of, we can focus on building this out for us, and then building processes in the way of, you know, scheduled jobs or whatever that we have to do for importing other collections. And I'm really confident that once we're done this for us, porting it out so that it can be commercially recycled, or you know, ideally what I see is the Drac front end client becomes open source and the back end API system becomes the monetary source for us, you know, so that we can give out this app as an example of how you still would need our data to populate it. You would, or you'd have to stub it and replace it and so on. But I see, if anything, our open source contribution being all the cool shit we do on the front end, and then our back end being like an API that monetizes across many different platforms and stuff. So yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm just babbling too.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, I'm excited too. As always, let me know.
You got any suggestions, any feedback? We kind of invited in, you know, industry big brains because we know you guys would be critical.
Man, I mean, I think you're spot on right now. Yeah, I honestly can't think of anything right now.
Cool.
You've covered pretty much all the other recommendations we've had already.
Yeah, well, we're pretty on point. I went back and I was talking to Dread and the guys in some meeting. I went back and looked at our timeline and projections. and we're like to the month accurate over 2 years. So yeah, it's progressing, man. We're busting asses. I'm still gonna someday come to you. I still see stems. Like I see stems and the upgrade downgrade shit you did with Monkey. I mean, it has an obvious place in here. It's if you can't see how upgrading and downgrading and this whole stem thing doesn't work with Drac, well then you're probably blind or you're not looking.
I think.
Oh.
Can you explain stems to me real quick, Drac? Because I'm not familiar with the concept.
Greg, do you want to, or Clyde, do you want to explain it?
Yeah. So, we can call it stems, we can call it composable assets, but the base concept is you'll have a series of NFTs that represent those base components. And in this case, it could be different Dracs, or, say you want to add on a hat, or you add in some other attribute into the background. But you'll have these base component NFTs, and those will be combined into your newest NFT. For the Monkey Zoo project, for the Fusion Zoo, the concept here is that those base components are going to be locked into a smart contract. So you have, say, 2 different monkeys, and you want to take the background from one, you want to take the base character from another, and you want to add in maybe a banana staff from another NFT. So you'll have 3 different NFTs involved, 2 monkeys and the banana staff, and you combine it in a friendly UI so you can create your own visuals and design that new NFT however you want. It interacts with our system where we mint the newest NFT so that it's from the proper DID, it's from the Monkey Zoo DID. And then we send that newest NFT into a smart contract on chain. And this is the special work that we were developing with one of the community developers to build out what we're calling the fusion puzzle. So when we're sending it to this on-chain puzzle, this puzzle has an input and an output. The initial input being that upgraded NFT. And so it gets locked into that contract. So now the user has the option to take those 3 NFTs they use to create that newest NFT, and they can take those 3, send it to the smart contract, and the smart contract returns the upgraded NFT. The reason we went this route, obviously we could have it set up where they just send it to the project, they send it to the Monkey Zoo project, and then we'll mint the newest NFT and send it back to them. But that requires the trust of the Monkey Zoo project, obviously. So what happens with this fusion puzzle is now anybody can interact with it so long as they have the required parts. So you combined it up to this newest NFT, and then you go ahead and sell that newest NFT, the one that you had created. Once somebody else buys that newest NFT, the one that you had created, they can now interact with that on-chain contract and get the parts back out of it. So maybe instead of this one that somebody else created, they want those original 2 monkeys and that banana staff. They can send the created one or the fused NFT back to that contract and return those 3 other ones. So that's kind of that concept specifically applied towards Monkey Zoo. How we look at it for other use cases is imagine music and movies. Right now, the way we have music set up is you'll have a number of different artists who are creating the stems. So it might be the drum track, it might be the vocal track, and all of these different stems are then combined into the actual music track itself. Well, you don't necessarily get to see who created each individual component when you buy the music track. So 1, it identifies the provenance in that regard, but 2, you can also do cascading royalties through something like the XCH split contract, which we worked with a developer last year on. And you can kind of see where this is going, where you can have all of these different components combining into the newest NFT, and then you can have that NFT recombined into something else, and then those NFTs recombined into something else, and it'll be cascading royalties across that entire process, plus true on-chain provenance throughout it as well. Kind of gives that decentralized ownership and interaction with all of these assets in a fully auditable way that's entirely on-chain.
Clyde, I wonder if you could tangle that into like AI to be able to search audio algorithms to therefore give proper royalties for new social media, so people can't reuse other people's contents, therefore verifying the true owner. So therefore, it has to be original content for them to make any money off of.
I had a comment too, but
yeah.
I'll let you respond to him first.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that, and we definitely want to start doing some of those integrations. The way that we were looking at doing that in kind of a reliable method, we're not going to do for probably a couple of years, just because we want to use data layer for it. So we see a realm where you have all of that additional data. Maybe your social media is actually occurring on some version of data layer, and maybe you're storing your own data and your own content locally, and somebody else might mirror a hash of that so that they don't have your actual data, but they have a representation of your data available. So we definitely see a lot of use cases with LLMs and with other AI based algorithms, so that you can first validate authenticity of the data, and then also create brand new data in ways that people hadn't had the opportunity in the past.
I really like how you brought up you guys are going to be using LLMs, because I was thinking the whole time with hash-based verification, like someone could take someone's art and just put like a slightly different color pixel somewhere, and the hash would be different, but it would look basically the exact same.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So one thing I wanted to touch on, because you just broke down the whole process there, right? And what you described is exactly what I was hoping you were talking about. I'm thinking of this from obviously you've heard of the game Doom, right?
Yeah, that's one of those games that came out, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago or something, right?
No, the original, right? Yeah. So, have you looked into the source code of it? Like, source code got released, and the interesting thing about the source code of Doom being released is that they released it in a sense where it's like, here's the source. If you have the game, you can copy the game files into the source directory and compile the whole game with the assets, and it will work. Um, so it became this project where people would say, okay, I'm taking the Doom source code, I'm drawing my own set of sprite sheets. That sprite sheet then gets brought, copied into the folder. The game gets compiled, and then I have a game with my custom sprite sheets. It's Doom, but with my versions of all the demons and stuff. Well, and same thing with the music, right? You copy the music from the game directory over. I think you kind of get where I'm going with this. Like these components that you're talking about, like just movie and music just there. Combine that with code, you could have a whole game that is built through on-chain mechanisms just in time to consumer spec, and then they could mint and sell as an NFT, and everyone involved gets royalties.
100%. That's exactly the route we're going. Yeah, it's very exciting to hear. So one of the other things we're working on near the beginning of this year, we released kind of a proof of concept video of what we call decentralized dominion. But it was a trading card game where we can import NFTs directly in as the assets themselves. And that's one of the next steps that we're taking, is we're setting it up so that any creator out there can essentially have a JSON file and add that JSON file as an NFT, or mint it as an NFT, and then our servers pick up that new NFT, that JSON file, and can customize the entire game rule set based on that JSON file.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, you could literally remix the media you're using right then and there, and then reproduce and resell. It's like kind of Plunderphonics, but on chain.
You got it. So I got to give a lot of credit to Grig. I'll pull up this video here. He's been he's been developing for music and for different online applications for, I don't know, about 30 years or so. And he has always had a focus of bringing music into a decentralized format. So I'm going to try to find this video real quick about, you mentioned mixing. He created an awesome mixing tool that mixes things in real time with a 3D mesh rendering for all of the visuals. So eventually it'll go into that concept as well, for exactly like you're saying, just in time rendering of music attributes and having full 3D models represented as well.
Well, I was talking about 2D sprites, like a sprite sheet.
Yeah, lots of opportunities for sure.
I don't know if I'm rugging. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Clyde, if you guys are ever in need of beta testers for like audio programs, things like that, let me know. I'm always willing to help out.
Yeah, Clyde. I mean, Your advice is always welcome, I think, from everybody in the room. So if you ever need a hand with anything, I think you do so much for everybody. And I think part of probably the problem is that you're such a big brain that not many of us can help you. But if we can ever, man, don't ever hesitate to reach out. And if you got any suggestions for Drac, or as I move along, as I always do, I keep you in the loop, because I'm probably not great at articulating or knowing where and when that plug-in of what you're doing and what I'm doing come together. But I think we both know it'll get there when it gets there. So I appreciate you taking so much time to always come in and see what I'm up to.
Yeah, most certainly, most certainly. I always appreciate you keeping me in the loop, and yeah, definitely excited for that day when we get to merge everything together. I think that's
Oh
going to be really
man,
exciting.
it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool for sure. Because I got Lucky 8 stuff plugged in. I think Lucky 8's the one you did the payment system with, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
he's the one who helped us build out that fusion puzzle as well.
yeah, exactly. So I've got that plugged in. Every time I hit breed, it's doing a mock setup. It's not doing all the minting and stuff, but it's mocking through and setting it all up, and it integrated really nicely. It was super easy to do. So there's still some more work there to do with activating it all and doing that stuff. But yeah, man, it's all coming along. It's getting there. I mean, as far as it was you and Greg that suggested, setting up the queue system. So I've even got that in there according to what you guys had suggested. So the queuing for minting during breeding, so that during high volume we can handle, the 25 limitation and so on and so forth. So crunching down and sucking down a lot of data, dude. A lot of things happening, front end, back end, and the hardware stuff, I think, is going to be really fun, and you'll like that when that comes out. So yeah, that's it, dude. You now have seen more than most people have seen of Drac, other than those working on it.
He
Well,
missed
thank
the
you.
damn audio, but I'll let it go, Clyde. Okay.
All right.
From a nerdy standpoint, Clyde, if you look like a little more in detail with to Art's point, like what he's contributed, so every layer essentially ends up with a bunch of references, and so the ILM. Can you explain ILM, Dread? Where does that come from again?
Yeah. So the term ILM, so I actually, when I was first implementing the battle system, I was going to start doing animations, just through pure CSS, and I had a whole class called ILM.js, and ILM stands for Industrial Lights and Magic. They're the people who do all of the stage prop building, practical effects. Like you go to Disneyland or Disney World and see a lot of the scenery and stuff. It's ILM. You watch any of the Star Wars movies, all ILM effects. Most of the Disney movies, all ILM. I think one of the first things they built out was actually the Tron, 1982 Tron. So I call the ILM just in honor of them because they're badasses.
Yeah,
Build
it
robots
was
really cool
sweet.
shit.
So yeah,
Oh, both the Mythbusters. They met at ILM.
It's fucking awesome. I loved it when you explained to me. It was like, yeah, of course, this is the ILM class. So the ILM class, basically, Clyde, it does what you think, and it's kind of it's not necessarily a join table, but it has a bit of those operations and stuff in it, and it just really links all of our layering system and our Dracs and our gameplay and the Isle of Seven Cities, and it kind of links and is the coordinating class, I guess, mostly leaning more towards the battle side of things, not so much towards the geo explore side. But yeah, it was a lot of what Dread and Chief's work here, and getting my head around how we do all this. So a lot of data, a lot of associated fields, and so on. Although there's a lot of undefined there right now, but that's development, and that just really pans out to this really nice way that we don't have to think or process too much around, well, what does this Drac have? And well, when I breed one, what are their stats and what does that imply? And that, so this backbone all happens in the pipeline. So on the server side, all we ever have to do to either create or breed a Drac is just ultimately end up with its final attribute JSON metadata. And as long as we have that attribute section, and that's it, and of course the naming convention aligns with our layering from the original generation. As long as we have that, it's just a matter of dropping the attributes and we get all of the corresponding data generated in the pipeline for us. So it's really easy to not worry about when this drac is bred, what does that mean? Because the system just essentially knows what to do. So we can just hit breed 100 times and 100 dracs will come out, and we can hit create and you get a whole new one from scratch, and battle and locate, same thing. It's just kind of this really nice and everything's using observables and live queries. So I mean, I don't know how to get it any more close to real time than what it's doing now between the MongoDB and the live queries of the parse, and using observables everywhere in my front end. It's just really makes change the data, and everything does what it needs to do. So from a development standpoint, porting it over to iOS was really easy. Ran the build and sent it up to iOS, and I didn't even get rejected first deploy. So it went straight into test flight on first send, which I don't know if I've ever been able to do that ever in my career with Apple ever. There's always a rejection for something. I think I had to sign some new, tax docs, as you always have to do. And then that was it. It went up. So porting to Android will obviously be even easier. So all of this work, Clyde, should roll right over to iOS and Android really easily, and because it's all tied to through the storyline, I think it's gonna make quite an impression. So at some point, hopefully in the near future, we're gonna be rolling this out to like users like yourself, where it's like, go ahead, log in with your Drax, and it'll be a closed beta soft launch and work out some bugs, and then ideally, we've all collaborated to a point that this bitch can get off the ground because she's a beefy one.
Man, this is awesome. This is awesome. I'm excited. I can't wait for the day when I'm pulling up Dracattus on my Oculus now.
Well, man, so don't even see, how to hit me there. And I know you got Greg in your back pocket. And yes. And I think, so talking with Greg, and like he knows so much, it's inspired me to work a lot more in Unity and explore 3D and spatial and stuff. And I really think just this simple effect that I've got going of, what is this? What do you mean enter? I mean, there's my translation. I just got to do a translation. But jumping in and out of these little miniature spatial IO, like I can just build one anytime and build a game in it, and I don't have to think about the sharing and the hosting and all the nitty gritty details. But it expands the lore of Drax so easily, and because it's just like click and I'm there. There's no real friction to going in and out of that metaverse space. So Greg has lit a new curiosity in my otherwise obsessive deving, but you know what I mean. I know you do.
Yep. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I'm a data guy, so I
Yeah,
always love seeing
exactly.
that, and just love seeing your approach to it.
The data on the backside, man, is really cool. It works really well, and so I've got all my jobs for, this is a lot of just kind of development stuff. Some of it's one off, some of it is jobs that will stay. Some of them go in as scheduled jobs, like, where I'm just testing the breeding season. So there's everything from jobs to webhooks. We've got our, our remote configs, so that we can really lock things down. We've got pay controls on all of our routes. They can be token gated, register gated, or payment gateway gated, like fiat or crypto. So we really create a custom experience with those tiers and plateaus that go with the different paid subscriptions or token gated stuff. And it all just kind of happens in this really nice, beautiful MongoDB. And parse really is not, like, using this dashboard for me is just a way to kind of always visualize the data in my head. Okay. But then I end up just going and writing code, and I essentially use jobs as a way to just recycle my code so I can run it over and over. And then I don't have to always be finding scripts. I mean, okay, tuck that away. And then I just end up with this dashboard of useful utilities. Like when I want to populate more items from Mint Garden, just run it. And I can go on about my way doing whatever else with the development, and this will just start to live populate. So if anybody else was looking at it now, they would down here. If we wait a second, I don't know how I got 3 17s in here. I got some bug. My computer's being slow as balls right now. Yeah, so it's doubling up for some reason, but you can see just as it's breeding in the background, or not breeding, it's pulling them in from Mint Garden. I don't know why 2-3 times. I obviously did something stupid. So yeah, it's the back end from a data nerd standpoint is really cool. It's set up pretty robustly, and yeah, other than it's just getting a little fat.
Yep, it always does. There's a lot
Yeah.
to track in these things for sure.
Yeah. And so yeah, mobile friendly and everything, man. So tell your family, tell your friends, buddy. You know, Christmas is coming up. Everybody wants a Drac.
Yep. My niece and nephew are already interested.
I can't wait to release. I could care less if I never make a penny. I just cannot wait till people in the community are playing. And not to sound arrogant, but like TCG was. I think a lot of people were a little disappointed with TCG, and I'm really hoping that Drac can be this kind of okay. Let's get really fucking creative here, right? So,
Right. Well, and actually explore it. It's the actual RPG element of everything there.
Yeah.
You get to become involved in the lore, and you definitely have taken the time to make sure that there's a refined story throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, almost too much, I think, sometimes. But no, not really. I only say that because my girlfriend's sitting here, and I think she's tired of hearing me talk about dragon cats as a 40-year-old man. And just like, she's like, even your fucking dragon cats.
Women don't get it, man. They don't get
it.
the dragon cats.
They don't get it, man. They don't.
They're
get
cool.
It. They're cool. It's like,
awesome.
Like I often think you know the TikTok video of the guy with the Wolverine chops that he shaves, and the girlfriend's like, "You look stupid." He's like, "They're cool." And it's like, "I look like Wolverine." That's sometimes I feel like leave my dragon cats alone. Like I feel a little bit like Napoleon Dynamite, but I feel like maybe you fuck off, you.
Now I gotta make tater tots.
Grandma said you have to leave because you're eating all our steak.
Yeah, Tina, eat. Yeah. Anyway, I know you guys get it. So
make yourself the dang quesadilla.
Yeah.
You guys know something funny? I used to live in a town in Utah that was 20 minutes from the town in Idaho that Napoleon Dynamite was filmed in. And me and my friends, we used to just go to that town and just go role play Napoleon Dynamite, walk around. And it's so funny because the town's so small that walk around for 5 minutes, you can see everything that's in Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, wow.
That's hilarious.
It's like an hour away from where they filmed Groundhog Day, and my life felt like it ever since.
That's fucking
Did you try to throw a football over that mountain? No, that's the question.
Yeah. Don't be jealous because I've been talking to hot babes online.
I actually did. I did throw a football over the mountain. Gonna see me do it again?
Yeah. All right, so that's it, Greg. Spread the word, sing the Drac praises where you can. We would appreciate it if you could. And we're hustle bustling to try to. Oh, look at that! Oh, look at that! Page unresponsive. You guys didn't see that. That didn't.
That's
happen.
a fun one.
That you didn't
No,
see that.
definitely not.
That never happened. All right. Well, I'm gonna get off because I've been talking for far too long and I'm tired. And it's Friday, so. The guys on the team, thanks for all the badass work. Clyde, thanks for always supporting. And
all right.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
This was an awesome demo, awesome stand-up.
Yeah, Friday demo days are fun, guys. Now we got it on Monday. We play the next sprint, so it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a really
in the future, for my demos, I'm going to start making Dracattus sketches because PowerPoints were the worst thing to ever happen as a cause of the Industrial Revolution.
I love it. Do it. Listen, if you don't have a Post-it note flipbook style presentation next time, I'll be disappointed. Sticky note style,
There you go.
Okay. I can do that.
Keith, I was going to stick on the call if you want to work on some of our other stuff, like once everyone else drops.
Well, I was going to
demo's going to be way better, okay?
If you and Jeff wanted to, I have some, I've been taking like one of MIT's open courses about Lisp. I was going to spend a little time on that, but I was going to see if you and Jeff wanted to hop on in a little